Welcome to the Lead Every Day show. Our mission is to see a world well led. And our strategy to get there? To empower leaders like you to lead every day. So let's get to work.
What's it like to be led by you? I hope you've given that some thought. Welcome to the Lead Every Day show, where we're trying to help you become a better leader today. I'm Randy Gravitt.
I'm Mark Miller.
We're fired up to be with you today. Loving the music there. That's kind of cool to start the thing. That's a little holdover there from the Chasing Greatness days for those of you who've come over from that show. Thanks for being with us. Brand new show here. We're 3 days into this thing, and we've kind of laid out a little bit the last couple of days what we're going to be talking about. But one of the big ideas in our leadership ecosystem is this idea of becoming a better leader. And I'm guessing, Mark, you've been around some really good leaders. I know you've been around some really good leaders, but if you're like me, you've been around some leaders that are not so good either. And man, it makes a difference one way or the other. So I'm hoping all the people that are here today, we're going to do some things that are going to help them become better leaders. Over the next few days, we're going to really unpack that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. You can be that good leader that your people want and deserve, and we're going to try to help you do that.
Yeah, I think when I think about it, it actually, that's a good way really to say it, because how many times have we benefited from a really good leader? And then how many times have we not had such a good leader? I remember back, I had a leader one time who really taught me the importance of personal growth and this idea of spending some time on it every day. That was, as I look back on my life and career, that was really formational for me. This guy modeled that and provided resources for me. That was really important for me to help me learn. And then I remember back, I actually had a coach. I was playing a sport one time. I had a coach who actually told me to try to injure a player on the other team. And I look back on that guy, and he was just such a I wasn't big enough to injure the guy, actually, so that was probably a good thing. But I just remember thinking back how much I had or how little I had respect for that coach when I thought about it. It's just like I didn't, as a kid, I didn't really know everything, but I knew that's not the way it ought to be. So it's just when you start thinking about this idea of being a leader, and for everybody's listening, I mean, our leadership matters. I mean, we're really have an opportunity to affect people in a positive way, or if we abdicate our responsibility there, it can be detrimental to what we're trying to do.
Yeah,
frankly,
it's a real privilege to lead people.
It really is. So let's talk a little bit about what are some things that we would need to do to become the leader that we need to be. You got some thoughts there?
Well, I think the starting point is you need a definition. Quick story from Chick-fil-A days. It seemed like it was 100 years ago. It was probably only about 25 years ago. We realized that we needed to accelerate leadership development. And so we were thinking about it macro, but for our audience to think about, hey, if I want to accelerate my development and I want to help the leaders around me grow, we realized we didn't agree on what leadership looked like. We didn't agree on the behaviors or competencies or skills. And so it was just a mess, had a huge opportunity. And we came up with this idea that leadership is a lot like an iceberg. And you may remember this from fifth grade. I don't remember fifth grade, but everybody tells me I went to fifth grade. And they said, oh, and you studied icebergs then. And I said, great. Would you give me a refresher? And they said, hey, about 10% of an iceberg is above the waterline. And it's easily seen by all. And about 90% is below the waterline. And so we think that's a perfect picture of leadership. About 10% of our leadership we could categorize as skills or competencies. Mm-hmm. And these are the things that other people see on a daily basis. But then there's that 90%. That's more difficult to see, but often easy to discern. And that's really about your heart. And so this ended a long-standing debate. Is leadership about skills, or is it about heart and character? In fact, it was Peter Drucker that said the quality of character does not make the leader, but the absence flaws the entire process.
Yeah.
And so we began to work on identifying both the skills and the heart habits that leaders need to excel.
Yeah, anybody who's listening who's remembers back, actually, you probably don't remember at this point, but you've heard the story of the Titanic or seen the movie. It was the part underneath that actually sank. I mean, the guy didn't like, hey, there's an iceberg. Let's run into that. I mean, it was like
it's what sunk most of the ships that fell prey to icebergs.
So
it's
many
the part
leaders,
they couldn't see.
It's that part that causes them to forfeit their influence, their leadership, that character piece. That the part that's underneath the surface is a very important part as well.
And here's the way we think about it, the way you and I have been thinking about it for a long, long time. If your heart is not right, no one cares about your skills. Some of our listeners know how to lead, and they wonder why people
won't follow them,
are reluctant to follow their leadership.
Yeah.
Maybe the people around you have questions about your heart
Yeah.
and your motivation. And so at some point over the coming days and weeks, we're gonna go deep into that as well.
Yeah, we will. But we'll talk about the skill side as
Oh,
well. 'Cause
absolutely.
I know a lot of great people that, they're fun to hang out with, and you go to dinner with them on a Friday night, or you let them babysit your kids back in the day because they have high character, you trust them impeccably, or the impeccable character, but they couldn't lead us out of the building if it caught on fire.
Maybe not out of the room.
Out of the room. And exits are marked everywhere. So you got to have both. I mean, it really, both are important, but there's an over index on the character piece. I mean, it is,
well, it's
as you said, 80-90%, maybe even.
But you have to have the skills too. And I often ask leaders that are struggling with this concept, I said, take it out of the leadership arena for a minute and think about your lawyer or your accountant. Do you want those men and women to have skills? Well, absolutely. But you also care about their heart and their character.
Yeah.
It's like you want both. Well, the people that we lead want and deserve both.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. So this idea of becoming a better leader is, if you're listening today, it's going to be different for different people. I mean, maybe some of us have to work on the character piece right now. You might be at a spot where, you've got some areas where you've taken a little shortcut, or you're off, somewhere that you shouldn't be. I think sometimes people think that character implodes. It's like, what happened to them? It actually erodes. It's when we don't pay attention to it day after day. And I think that's going to be important. We'll talk about that, as we go as well. But for some others, it might be a skill. It's
right.
Like you're trying to build a team or
they
lead
don't know how
a meeting,
to do that.
have better meetings, and you're not really sure about some of that stuff. So
but let me put an asterisk on character, because even the way you responded there, and this has been a raging debate forever. I am a huge fan of what I would call foundational character. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. Right? Actually, in this context, I'm referring to the character of a leader.
Yeah.
The marks on their life.
Yeah.
Leaders are different.
Yeah.
And so these heart habits
we'll unpack those as we go.
Are above or built on the foundational character issues.
Yeah, that's good. So we're going to get into all that as we go. But today, I guess I would just ask you, how are you doing when you think about the iceberg of your life? And I think having a picture like that is a powerful thing. I think you told me when y'all started this work, there were 6,000 published definitions of leadership. So if you don't have a way to think about it, I mean, 6,000, what do you do with that? You get in a room, you got 5 or 6 people around your table. You can't have alignment on your definition of leadership. It's going to be really hard to build that. I actually Googled leadership just recently, and I had 8 billion hits. Like, they're not even 8 billion people. I mean, how do you have 8 billion hits when you? But it's like, I guess everybody's got more than one opinion of what is a leader. So I think it's important for you to have a definition that you and your people around you agree on and go after that. So we're going to help you think about that as we go. Today, I would just encourage you to ask yourself the question, what's it like to be led by me? What's it like to be led by me? If you can answer that question, and if you really want to push yourself a little bit, what's it like to be led by me and loved by me? This is not just an at-work question. This is a at-home question as well. Like, do you have the skills needed to help the people you're trying to help? And do you have the character in place that those people want to follow you? Mark, I love your words. If your heart's not right, nobody really cares about your skills. So both are important. We're going to continue to unpack that. Hoping every single person here can become a better leader. Today, ask yourself that question. What's it like to be led by me? And remember, the best leaders lead every day.
See you tomorrow.